With all the craziness in this world, we are here to have open and honest conversations to help navigate our thoughts.
Sometimes we are right and sometimes we're wrong. But in the end, if we aren't learning, we aren't living.
This is Philip,
And this is Wes.
and we are
Two Bottles Deep.
Hello, Wes.
Philip Hedrick.
How are
Hi.
you, babe?
I am doing great today. I feel like I always say we're doing great.
I mean,
In our
you are.
In our society, we're always like, good, you?
Oh, well, let's start over. Hello, Wes.
Oh, hi, Phil.
Oh, God, what a shitty day.
Another great icebreaker. Ask people how they wave.
Oh, that's my fave.
Right? Because then they're like, I
Hold on,
don't,
where's my
I don't
camera?
know.
Look at my pinky.
And then,
Guys, when I wave,
you do that.
It's so
yeah.
dumb. My pinky goes into paralysis. It doesn't move. I have to consciously do this to wave.
You know, I know a good physical therapist you could see for that.
God.
I'm kind of a, how's that? Like that. And
It's kind of a lazy wave.
So
Plus,
I'm-
it's just like flopping his hand
Yeah.
back and forth. Like,
you know, the Queen of England just, hello. And she was alive. I brought that up at work the other day, and we all sat there and was just like, everybody's like, wait, how do I wave? It's one of those things you just don't,
Oh.
you don't realize. So it's a fun little icebreaker for anybody out there wanting to
yeah, go
be
get your ice broken,
awkward
people.
as I am in a public setting.
Well, baby, how's your week? What's new? Oh, wait a minute. I know something that you've done recently.
Update.
Wes, for those of you who are new to the show, welcome. And Wes is trying to find love like I am, but Wes has chosen probably a more productive way of doing it, a matchmaker.
I think love is blind, but I won't be famous.
Yeah. So
Right.
you had a matchmaking date?
I did.
on-
First one.
Okay. First of all, how did
first
you
date.
find out about it? Like, did they email you and they're like, "Hey, we've got this guy named Chad, and he's going to be at the Frothy Monkey at 4," or
Wait,
like,
do you know Chad? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm going out with him
His
in a
name
minute.
wasn't Chad.
Oh, I was going to say I'm meeting him
Maybe
later.
it could. Chad and Brad. So she sets it up. If you've watched Millionaire Matchmaker, that Patty Stanger lady,
Yeah.
or the Indian Matchmaker,
Okay.
it's very similar, but you don't see a picture. You know, first name, where they're kind of from, because she doesn't want you to Google them or look them up on LinkedIn.
Like she gives you the region, like Southwest or like Northeast.
Yeah, like where they're from, maybe like from the Northeast or New York
Right.
City, because you're not going to look up Dale in New York City. Like there's a lot of them, right?
Right.
So she doesn't want you to Google them. There's rules and all that. So yeah, she called and she's like, I have a few matches. I want to line them up for you. Here's this person. Here's what he does. Here's what he likes to do. Here's his, she'll say like blonde hair, blue eyes.
Okay.
Right.
But no body type.
no,
Not like he's got a
right.
third leg. No, that's-
He has a little tail coming out. You ever see those people that have the tail coming out of their behind?
no.
It's been in a movie, so it's probably real.
Oh.
And
Oh, I think that's Avatar.
Yeah. That real.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
So where-
accepted
Do you decide where to go?
not at all. No, she does.
She tells you what restaurant to go
Yeah.
to?
And she doesn't even live here. Isn't that crazy?
Can you tell me
she'll-
which restaurant it was?
love language?
Oh, that's a cute little spot.
I never heard of it. And
Yeah.
it's back where I used to live. They just opened up recently.
Yeah.
So I didn't know it was there.
Yeah. So you go there, and then how do you know who it is?
Don't know.
But I mean,
You don't
like
know.
you just going table to table, like Chad, Chad, Chad.
No, the reservation's under a different name.
What's
so
the
I
name?
go up.
and you're like,
Well, it was under like Wes, but my last name was like a different initial.
oh,
So not fully a
Wes
different name.
T instead of
ooh,
Wes.
crazy. Never pick out the 3 Wes's in Nashville. So I go there and I was the first one there because as I go up, I'm like, where are the cameras? It felt like the show.
Okay.
Right? You're like walking up, there should be an orchestra or something behind me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm walking up, I'm like, okay, is he inside? Is he looking at me? Because I was only like 5 minutes early. And you know me, I like to be 20 minutes
Yeah.
early in my seat.
Oh, I'd have
eating-
already been there and had 3 drinks, waiting on Chad.
loosening up. So I get there. I said, hey, my reservation's for Wes M. And I had to think
Oh,
about that.
you really threw them
And they're
off.
like, oh. And I'm like, wait, do all these motherfuckers know that
Oh,
I'm
so
a blind? I don't know. She sets it
knew
up.
you were a matchmaking date.
I think so. Because I think, her assistant calls and says,
Oh,
hey,
okay.
here's a date. And she may say it's a business meeting, but they all know. And it was a Saturday.
So did you get there first?
I did. I was there first.
And then how long did you wait before Chad showed up?
Well, he was 3 minutes late.
30?
So, 3.
Oh, okay. And he walks up to the table, and
I was like-
and you said,
I was 8 mocktails in. wasted.
What did you say when you walked up?
No, so the waiter, who was this like really cute gay guy,
God.
brought him over and was just like
He's
smiling.
like, Wes, I know we know each other, but
And I didn't know him, never saw him. So anyway, he brings this guy over, and I actually saw him walk in, and I'm like, not my type, not my type, right away. But hang on, as
he
he
has
like
money. Oh, sorry.
that's TBD. But
2 bottles.
as we as we started talking, it was a really good match. It was a really good date.
Good. So how would you rate it, 0 to 10?
7.5.
Boom, babe. That's a good date.
That's a win. We didn't. You can only do an hour and a half.
What happens
maximum
then?
2 drinks, which he had a margarita, I had a mocktail. We had lunch, and yeah, the
just
conversation didn't stop. It flowed really, really well.
Is there anything he did that you were like, oh, look at him, look holding that fork weird?
No, remember that one match I went on in Tampa, and he was like chewing, and food was falling out. That was not good.
But this one, there was nothing that you were like, oh,
No, not at all. It was
wow.
I don't think. Have you ever been on one of those dates? I know you have, where you're just like butterflies. You're like, this
Yes.
could be the instant like
yeah.
connection.
Remember the guy who I made him look like he'd taken a dump
The
in his pants? Yeah.
coffee grain guy.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah,
that
you
was
have that initial thing. You're like, God, I
Totally.
hope they call back, or I hope there's a second date. So I didn't like feel that, but as I was talking to him, I'm like, oh my God, I could really like this guy. Like he's attractive, but it's not like I would have went up to him at the bar.
Right.
And how many of those shows do you watch that's those people's reactions? But then they're like, I'm going to get to know this person.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was definitely, when he walked in, I'm like, oh, he's cute.
Well,
You
good,
know?
babe. Congrats. Let me know.
So-
we'll all be dying to hear details.
We have to, now I have to wait to hear back. Now we both call the matchmaker
Yes.
and tell us how that is. Am I ringing? No. Did you hear? Was that the matchmaker?
The matchmaker's calling.
So anyway, it's a fun thing. And it's funny because she had called me about a couple matches, and she's like, this guy's name is this, and he works in here. I'm like, know him.
Oh.
Great guy, but I know him.
Which makes you wonder
So-
what they're saying about you. We got this guy, Wes, in property management. No.
Haven't yeah. How many Wes's in real estate are there in Nashville?
Well, good, babe. I'm
So-
glad it went well.
Yeah. Can we switch it to you
Yeah. Oh, no dates.
about your world premiere?
Y'all. So
World
I
premiere.
finally can say I am an official stand-up comedian because I have performed on a stage in front of thousands, maybe 100. I don't know, 70, maybe 40. Who
There were
cares?
at least 45 there.
At least 45.
But the place, I'm going to say, the place was packed.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this because you're a friend. That was a killer set.
Yay!
And I think you invited the friends who were going to judge you the hardest.
Yeah.
And we all were like you did a great job.
And well, thank you, babe. I really do appreciate that. I appreciate you coming. Wes was on the very front row, probably not intentionally, but I walked as soon as I got out on stage. I looked over and I was like, "Well, look who's here." Wes and Jason, and I saw my brother. It was really so much fun. It's a very strange feeling to watch people watch you as you know what jokes you're telling. Like I'm like, they're about to lose their shit on this joke. And it was just fun. Like I heard you laughing, and of course Jason. Though the funny part was, I mentioned this to Wes earlier, but one of the comedians got off stage. She came in the back and she goes, "Some guy in the front row is hysterical." I was like, "Yeah, it's Jason.
Jason
He sounds
Capps.
like a coyote."
Season 1, episode 12 and 37.
Right.
And was on a couple weeks ago as well.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. When you were up there, Phil, you had rehearsed your set.
Yes.
This is your first time doing it. Did you have any doubts or stage fright?
I almost took a dump in my pants about 3 minutes before. So when the Sydney, who's the instructor, was doing this 5-minute opener, nothing major, just to kind of get people, relaxed and all that, settled down. And so I'm literally right behind the curtain, and I am trying violently to go through the set quickly. It's a 6-minute set, but I'm going through it in 30 seconds. So I'm like, trainer, hot yoga, spin class. And when I first got out there, the second joke I thought I had missed, and I was in my head for 30 seconds, like, you've already blown it. They're going to know. And then I was like, wait a minute. This is all working out. I've done it right. So
Yeah.
there is something about just getting it out of your head and presenting it as just a normal conversation. Just like, this is what's going on in my life. And once I sat back and kind of got into it, I noticed people relaxed and just kind of laughed. So
And
thank
you were the first comic.
I was the opener, y'all. Oh my gosh.
We didn't know the lineup, so there was no sheet or anything given to the audience. And because where we were, we couldn't see backstage. And then we saw you jump out. You came out with so much energy. I'm like, oh, he's got this.
Oh, I was jacked.
you were-
probably
you were
helped that I had a steroid shot a few days before, but anyway.
But it was great. But I asked that because your set flowed so smoothly, like you've done it before.
I think my age plays a part too. I am a better writer now than I was 3 years ago. The podcast has really helped me with that writing. So, yeah, I thought it was fun, and I'm going to do more. I'm going to get this. We get the recording.
That's your ticket,
We get
buddy.
the video, and we start sending it out. So anybody listening, if you want a stand-up comedian who can do at least 5 minutes, maybe 6, I'm your man.
Was there any other times where you felt the pressure to make that joke land? Like, because there's a part during your storytelling, we're like information gathering, right?
Yes.
And then we're like, all right, the punchline.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any, could you read and then is that when you time it or how does that work?
Yeah, a lot of it too is like there's rules in comedy, which I didn't know until I started taking, comedy classes. But the rule of 3, like you're gonna do 3 things before the joke. So an example of that would be, so my first joke was something to the effect of, guys, I know you're here for comedy, but I got to get something serious off my chest. I recently got out of a long-term relationship. He's wanting to see me 4 or 5 times a week. I was always commenting on the food I was eating. Would never hold my hand in public. So I called him and I'm like, hey, I just don't think I'm ready for a personal trainer. and so you do 3 things and then hit him with the joke.
Okay, yeah.
So it's that, and then there's things callbacks where you call back on a joke that you did, a few minutes earlier, like the trans joke that I made.
Yeah.
I'm not making fun of trans people. Settle down. We'll get to that in a minute. So
in the old show
it's on the show notes. But anyway, but I appreciate everybody that came. That meant so much to me. It was really fun. So book me.
Book him.
Book me.
I think it's your ticket. I think you were Matt Rife getting ready to explode. You are
I quit my job yesterday. I was like, I'm done. Let's go.
Yeah. You know what? At work, my coworkers have been really annoyed with me.
Oh,
'Cause
God.
I have this song stuck in my head.
Body by Meg the Stallion. Body, yada, 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 yada.
No, that would be a good one.
Yeah.
No, Amazing Grace. It's like, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound.
Very religious
and I'm
song
like
there.
deep in this,
Yeah.
and
Did I ever tell
they're
you?
like, it's not noon yet, so I have to wait till noon.
and it's not
to sing
Sunday.
it.
Did I tell you about the time I was asked to sing at a wedding, a religious song at a wedding?
No. I know you've sang at weddings and funerals, by the way.
Oh, I was a funeral singer for
More
sure.
funerals than
Yeah.
weddings, to be noted.
Tammy Polakevich was getting married, and she wanted me to sing the Lord's Prayer. So, and that's the Our Father who art in heaven.
Hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed
Thy
be
kingdom come. Thy
thy
will be done.
name. So it's that one, right? So I'm in the church. It's, it's packed, and I'm on the stage. Is that what you call it in a church? The elevated? No, I wasn't standing on a pew.
Oh, the pew is the bench.
Yeah, I was on the stage where the priest is.
Pulpit.
Pulpit.
Nailed
I'm
it.
in the pulpit and
Going to heaven.
Going to heaven immediately. And the music starts. No, I was doing a cappella. That was the worst part because
Oh,
I
God.
didn't factor in the echo. So every time I start, I think someone else is
It's
singing with me.
Still going.
So
throughout
I'm like, I'm looking around. I'm like, who else is in? Our Father. This goes on 3 times. So finally, I look over at Tammy, and she's got this shocked face. She's just like, sing it. Just sing it. So the whole time, I was so paranoid because you just hear your echo 2 seconds later.
yeah.
So I was like trying, Our Father who art in heaven. Wait a minute, what is it? Hallowed be thy name, thy name. Worst thing ever. I'm only going to perform with like a symphony now.
Is that on tape somewhere? Did she
I
have a videographer?
hope not. Are you?
I hope so.
Tammy, if you're listening, babe, could you find the video and send
Tammy
it?
Popakevich.
Polakevich.
That's it.
Speaking of trans people, by the way, Tammy's not trans.
And if she was, we love her.
We love her.
It's
It's still the same.
love
So
that transition.
one of the things Wes and I are always coming up with, show ideas and things we want to talk about. There's been some interesting news stories that we thought would be interesting to kind of talk through because some of these are big deals. So stick with us. The
Coming
first
up next.
one, right? Coming up next, the first one. Just last week, World Athletics Association has banned transgender women from women's sports in the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. Only in the track and field
I just read
events.
that.
Yeah.
Like right here,
Yeah.
right now.
So
Crazy.
right now, as of last week, no trans woman can be in the 2024 Olympic Games, in the track and field events. And when asked why he did this, the president, Sebastian Coe,
Sounds neat.
right? He said, decisions are always difficult when they involve conflicting needs and rights between groups, but we continue to take the view that we must maintain fairness for female athletes above all other considerations. So, and the other reason they wanted to do this, which I think is great, is this ban is not forever. It's until further research has been completed to make sure that it's fair for everyone. So,
Okay.
that's the first big news story. What do you think?
I
Wes?
like
Are you-
that. Oh, sorry.
No,
I don't know why I cut you off all the
no,
time.
that's fine, baby. What do you think? Do you think this is a good rule? Do you think it's bad? Is it transphobic? What is it?
Yeah, I don't think it's transphobic. I think that we have to look at the science, and if they say it's not forever, and they say it's in place right now, here's the season that we're in, the year that we're in, we have all these things that we're looking at for the future. They're doing their homework. They want it to be fair. They want to be progressive, but maybe it's just not right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay.
I think I'm with you. I always wonder too, because you and I have kind of not flip flopped, but our opinions have kind of changed slightly. Like I've said in past things that I do think trans people should be able to compete in sports.
Right.
But this is a very, like you said, a very specific situation. This is a very elite level competition, and we don't have a ton of research to know the long term effects of all this stuff. So I think that it's probably a good thing. While it may not be fair to some people, the one person specifically that it was affected was that 21-year-old, and I'm not sure if her name's Halba or Haliba. I apologize if I'm sure she's listening. As a 21-year-old French trans person, she's a trans athlete in France, and she's been transitioning since 2021, and I've been obsessed with her, testosterone levels and all that. This was going to be her home. Her chance to like run in front of her home crowd in Paris for the Olympics. But I think that falls under it's sad and disappointing for her. It may not be fair, but I mean.
Wait, so she's 21.
She's 21.
And she has been transitioning
Since 2021.
So what year? Okay, so she's like 24 now, 25. Or she's 21, but she's been transitioning since
she started
18.
transitioning in 2021.
Oh, okay, but she's 21 now.
And she's 21 now.
So you've already gone through puberty.
Yep.
So again, I don't think there's much research. And alluding to what you said before, this is why I think we do this show, so people can learn. So
Sure.
again, we don't want to offend anybody on this, but I don't think it's right that she's running because we don't have the research. Well, she's not running, right? But I don't think they should be until we have the research. Because if you transition, it's like that show we did last year, the year before. If you're transitioning after puberty and your levels are at the level it should be, is that the right level?
Right.
Do we have enough research to know what that level is? B, if you have someone that is transitioning before puberty, their levels are going to be totally different. Like,
sure.
we had that great show with Megan talking about her trans daughter. Maybe as she gets to be 20, 21 years old, maybe that's a whole different situation than if I were to transition now at 43.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still going to be a little bit more powerful, I think, I'm not a doctor, shocker, than, I don't know, some of our gal pals.
Yeah. Well, like you said, going through puberty, I mean, that there is evidence to talk about that there's more muscle mass. A man that goes through puberty is going to get more muscle mass. A female is going to get more fat. That's what happens in puberty. So that's not fair, right? If a trans person is born male and transitions to female and goes through puberty, there's a good chance they're going to have more muscle mass, which could make them stronger, perhaps. So there's all. I think there's so many like unique situations where it's like you either have to make a rule that it's all or nothing, or you've got to go through and say, okay, like you said, if they transitioned after puberty and their testosterone level is this, then they compete in this sport. Like it's going to be a lot of research that's going to be needed.
And I think when we were looking at research for the show last year, it was going to be kind of sport specific.
Yes.
So if you're a bodybuilder or an Olympic curler, or you said there's like, what sports?
Oh, there were two that we found that both men and women can compete against each other. It is equestrian, horseback riding, and sailing.
Sailing. So why isn't like archery in there? Because that's more precision than power. It's more of that like.
Maybe there's been nobody that's. I don't know. Maybe there's not been a trans person that's challenged that sport
in archery, and maybe archery's not a sport in the Olympics. I don't know.
It should be.
And not to be. It should be, and bowling should be too. But that's a whole different podcast. It should. Okay, if horseback riding's in there. Bowling.
I'm not saying that everything that's in there should be there too. I'm just saying I'm not sure I want to sit through 8,000 countries bowling.
That is a dream come true for me. To watch or
get my hair done that day.
But and not to be transphobic, because I'm not, or disheartened. Oh, I don't know the word. I'm on the spot. But how many people is this going to affect? 3?
Yeah.
4? And again, everybody should have a chance, and I guess in due time. God, I'm butchering that. Probably edit that out. I don't know. But again, here if we're not living, we're not learning, or we're not learning, we're not living.
Yeah.
So I said what I said. There's got to be more research, and if this is going to keep 2 or 3 trans females from winning Olympic gold, it's just not your time.
Yeah.
And I think you look at times, the John Lewis, the Martin Luther Kings, all those people that lived during those just hard times, but fought for the right for people to have rights now, and the people in the LGBT movement, and we have the rights now. But we were in that movement. We're in our 40s, right? Mm-hmm. So we saw before and marriage equality.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other things that have happened. So I just think you're born when you're born the way you're born. So if you don't have an opportunity at this moment right now, you just don't have an opportunity.
Yeah, and I'm the fairness thing. We said this before too. I mean, life isn't fair. If it were, only serial killers would get cancer. Lovers would die at the same time, so you wouldn't have to live without your lover. I mean, there's so many examples of fairness, life not being fair, and that's part of it. There's just certain things you cannot do, you won't do, but there's other ways to find joy. So I'm with you. I think there needs to be more research. There was a study, Wes and I love studies.
The Pew Research Center.
Pew. Now, this is done by Axios. There's a 2021 Axios report, and they ask several thousand people, do you think transgender athletes should be able to compete in the Olympics? And 20% said that they should compete against the gender that they identify as, and 39% said that they should compete with the gender assigned at birth. And then the rest were like, we're not really going to have an opinion on this one because I don't want to get labeled as a transphobe. But I think that's interesting that even, in 2021, almost 40% of people said that they should compete with the gender that they were assigned at birth in terms of the fairness. So this is not a unique opinion. I think there's a lot of people who are going to be upset about this ruling,
sure.
Just as well as they'd have come and said, yes, they can compete. There's going to be people upset on the other side. So how do you make everybody happy? You have a drink.
Well, I think if you make everybody happy, let's switch on over to Bud Light.
Oh,
I mean, talking about now both sides are pissed off at Bud Light.
Yeah.
I have this conspiracy, all these billionaires and all these, we're out of the Gilded Age. We're out of the monopolies and the Vanderbilts and stuff. But I still think there's this hierarchy in our country that they just look down on us and we're all these little ants and we're just fighting each other. Politics, that's the
Is this like the Illuminati? Is this the...
Lou Malnati's, the pizza place in Chicago.
The Illuminati, that's the people
Oh.
who supposedly control the world.
Oh, Lou Malnati's, by the way, is a great pizza place in Chicago.
And
That's
back.
what reminded me of. But no, I mean, you have the 40,000 foot view. It's just the bird's eye view of all of us just fighting each other. You see it around political time. You were seeing it around Dylan Mulvaney and Bud Light.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that whole controversy, it's like you had, all the rednecks and John Rich and who's the other guy? The guy with the shotgun.
Kid Rock.
That hangs out with drag queens now, doesn't like drag queens.
Kid Rock.
There you go.
Yeah.
And now he's shooting it with an automatic rifle. But then now there were some gay bars in
Yes.
Chicago, so now gay people are pissed off because now they pulled. At what point? You said it earlier. We've never seen a gay person drink Bud Light.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
they're
So-
not selling that. What was their industry? I mean, were they selling a lot at a gay bar?
Yeah.
I wouldn't think
News
so.
story number 2, then. Chicago gay bars face harassment. Harassment after ditching Bud Light over Dylan Mulvaney's controversy. So, like Wes was saying, Dylan showed up on a Bud Light can. Kid Rock shot it. They fired the marketing team and said they were not associated with Bud Light, that they were like an independent team. They fired all them. And then the gay bars were like, oh, well, since you did that, we're not going to serve your
Yeah.
alcohol. So it's like, whose side are you supposed to be on here?
Yeah.
Like you're either, if she's on the can, they're getting shot at.
Right.
If she's off the can, you can't drink it at a gay bar. I don't know any gay man that's ordering a Bud Light.
I think gay bars have it because there are so many straight people that go to gay bars. I think it's for like straight men. 'Cause I don't know a lot of women that drink Bud Light. They're one of the largest companies in this country, Anheuser-Busch, right? They have a lot of different products. They own a lot of different things. So obviously there's a market there for it. They want market share. They want to be in every place to provide people a great quality drink or whatever their motto is.
Yeah.
But when they said they fired that crew, I mean, you still had to approve it, so you knew what you were doing.
Like they
Again,
accidentally
this is the-
sent it live.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, we trust
Wasn't
you.
approved.
Don't worry about it. It's a multi-billion-dollar organization. Just put something out there.
Yeah, risk our whole family lineage, right?
yeah.
So again, the Lou Malnati thing is
the pizza place in
the pizza
Chicago.
place. Maybe it's part of that. Like I think the right or whoever, the people that were with Kid Rock, y'all need to settle TF down. And then I think our community, let's settle down. If you don't want to drink it, don't buy it. It's one can. It was one person. They did the right thing of promoting it. They gave one can to Dylan. Go Dylan. That's awesome. You got on a Bud Light can.
Yeah.
But there's so many other companies. Yingling, I think, is one that doesn't support Pride and stuff, which, okay, it's still a good drink. But all the other ones do. So you have all the arguments too. So again, everybody's pinned against each other. And you go down this rabbit hole and you see all these things online of people going back and forth saying, well, you drink Coors, they support it. You drink Miller Lite, they support it.
Yeah.
And they've all had Pride cans from what I'm told by
Yeah.
our staff here.
Yes. Thank
I
you,
know
staff.
one. I read that on Reddit.
Oh, that's a
But-
good place to get it.
Facts.
Facts. Yeah. I mean, look, Kid Rock had just as much right to shoot that can as the gay bars in Chicago had a right to pull them. That's not going to change my mind. I don't show up at a bar and be like, before I start making my orders, do we have Bud Light being served here fresh?
Fresh.
They're like, we do have it. I'm out of here. How
Yeah.
dare you?
Yeah.
It's sad.
But, I think our community, the LGBTQIA plus community, was so mad at Kid Rock for doing what he did, but then they're kind of doing the same
Yeah,
thing.
I agree.
Like, why are the gays doing that? I don't know. I get there's a little bit of protest. So if I don't want to go to O'Charlie's, I'm not going to go. Like, I don't know what O'Charlie's did. I just thought of that.
Maybe they're fighting for freedom of.
Yeah, 1 million moms or whatever. Then don't support it. Don't. I mean, this world's a bigger place than that. Like we don't need to be bringing all this up. But then again, too, there's a right for freedom of speech. And yes, let's talk things through. But these people aren't talking things through. They go to their phones. They get loud. They think they're proud. And both sides is just, it's kind of disheartening a little bit.
Yeah. Wes, have you been called fag lately?
Not since you and I were on Broadway a couple years ago
I remember
at
that
the
one.
stage. Remember that?
I got it a few months ago, but Broadway related as well. I mentioned that because our third news story involves that wonderful word. So this is West Virginia. That's shocking.
West Virginia, Mountain Mama.
Is there meth involved here? West Virginia Mountaineers basketball coach Bob Huggins had to make a substantial donation after making an anti-gay slur about Xavier basketball fans. He was on a radio interview, and the channel was 700 WLW. Yeah. And he said part of his saying was, all those fags, those Catholic fags. And it had something to do with a penis being thrown.
They
like
were
a fake
asking,
penis.
yeah,
That
they
would
were
be weird.
asking him about a rival school and playing them or something. Well, something had happened at that school where they were throwing, like, I don't know, rubber penises or something
Yeah.
you'd probably get at a bachelorette party.
We have plenty of those here on Broadway.
And in the closet, actually.
Right.
So something about that, and he's like, and that's when they had asked him about his rival school, and then he had said all those fags, those Catholic fags. And this guy, I mean, you don't want to stereotype someone, but you hear him speak, you see where he's from. I mean, stereotypes are there for a reason sometimes, and this
Sure.
is one of those times. I just don't. I think if you're a decent person, you're not going to say those words. I mean, you're on the air on an interview.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you feel it, you know. I mean, you're also a basketball coach, so I don't know how
Yeah.
you're around so many different types of people. But again, it's a region he's at. It's no excuse for ignorance.
Yeah.
But he said it on a radio program.
And
That's recorded.
if you're saying it, then it's a normal part of his vernacular. I mean, it is something he says regularly, I
Right.
bet. And it is like, I think I mentioned this on a previous episode. There was a time that I was using the word fag kind of self-deprecatingly to describe myself or others, so kind of trying to be funny. And I had a good friend, Sean, who listens, Mark and Sean, and he took me to side and beat my. No, he didn't beat me. But he was like, "You should never say that. Like it's not the same thing as the N word, like an African American saying the N word. This is a completely different thing. Like, you should not say this because we're fighting to try to get that word out of circulation. It's making fun of yourself. It's just bad." And so from that point on, I really have tried to not use it even in a funny, unless it's
Right.
a joke or something. But I think, how do you punish somebody for saying it?
Well, they suspended him for 3 games, and like they took $1 million away from him his salary.
And what is he making now?
$3.2 million after that.
We should do a
Poor
GoFundMe.
guy. Yeah.
We should do a GoFundMe for him.
I mean, did it hurt the Morgan Wallens of the world? No. Is it going to hurt him at a certain level? You're just not going to be affected by it.
And I
mean, if I go from 4.2 million to 3.2 million,
yeah, we're
I'll
not
make
friends
an
anymore.
adjustment somewhere. I'll make an adjustment somewhere. But
Right.
but I mean, Sean has a good point. Don't say that. But then a lot of people in our community, we had an episode a few weeks ago about queer. That was a very derogatory
Yeah,
term.
that's true.
Now, fag probably means, queer means strange or odd. So we're, I think, just kind of flipping that. Our community's trying to take that back, I think, is what we got out of that episode. That's I think, our viewpoint anyway. I've never looked up fag.
Look it up.
I will do that right now.
Yeah, do it. Type it. Well, yeah, I don't know. I think I would bet to say that nobody called him and was like, because of your words, I don't think we can be friends, or you should change the way you speak. People were just like, oh, that's Bob. Bob's
Yeah,
always
that's
like
just him.
Bob says fag all the time.
He's not racist, but
No, his cousin's best friend knew a guy who was gay.
oh yeah, he's not racist. He's a basketball coach. No,
Yeah.
he's in it for the money. Okay, I looked up fag.
All right.
This is an informal British term. It means a cigarette. Have you ever heard that saying, smoking a fag? Is no, it's different
I'm
over
going to
here.
stay
I
away
think.
from this one.
Smoking a fag and flipping a bitch. Flipping a bitch is a U-turn. Smoking a fag is a cigarette. So again, maybe we can talk to Sean about this. Sean is his name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your friend. Yeah,
But I think it was
it's a good-
contextually. I wasn't
good
saying
point.
I'm going to go outside and put my fag out. I said something about that guy being a
Is that
fag.
what you call it?
Right.
No, but with that and the word queer, it's like if we're saying it, it's like
Yeah.
can black people say the N word, and that's a whole nother topic too. When the Morgan Wallen thing happened,
Yeah,
but I guess we can say it. I mean, we can say the F word, but I don't like that word. I don't like queer,
Yeah.
but that I guess personal preference. But no, Sean's definitely not wrong.
Thank you, Sean, for that lesson.
Yeah, Sean,
Um,
love it.
this last news story I'm very excited about because I have spent the greater part of my life unable to donate blood.
Yeah, people don't know that.
Do you guys listening know this? As a gay man, you could not donate blood.
Nope.
There could be a natural disaster. Everybody, when 9/11 happened,
Everybody's
there was a
dying.
whole thing pushed for get more blood, and all my friends and coworkers were going and doing it, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it tomorrow afternoon. They're like, well, come with us. I'm like, I can't. I gotta get my hair cut. Just every excuse in the world because I was embarrassed to tell them they won't
Yeah.
let me give blood.
But I mean, you could have lied.
Yeah. It seemed.
So let's start with, so if people don't
Okay.
know this, because we actually had a blood drive at work a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And I was telling some of my coworkers who were straight that this was a law, like a rule. I don't know if it's like a law, but the FDA, maybe it is. I don't know.
think
But anyway,
it's-
we can't give blood because we're gay.
Yeah. And so
And they
under
were
the
flabbergasted.
under the current, before this went into effect, under the guidelines for donating blood, men who have sex with men were permitted to donate blood after a 3-month deferral period in which they abstain from sexual encounters with men. That was a change made in 2020. The previous guideline was 12-month deferral period. So they were like, look, if you want to give blood, just don't have sex for a year. That's all you
easy.
do. Then we've got, any straight person giving blood just riddled with diabetes and, all these other bloodborne
syphilis,
issues.
I
They're
mean-
going to test the blood anyway. Like if I
Yeah.
gave blood and it had something in it, they're like, we're not going to use it. Okay.
Did this stem from like the Ronald Reagan era and AIDS? Like they just didn't
Maybe
catch up the last 40 years?
Maybe so. I didn't. I probably should have done a little more research on that one. But right now, the new rule is you can donate if you say you're in a monogamous relationship.
Which
I still can't.
Is
We still can't donate.
guilty.
Wait a
I
minute.
think this is so unfair. This is so. It's just not right. It's targeting.
Yeah.
I mean, you look and see what happens at a club, at any club on a Saturday night, and on a Monday, Sharon can go in. Whoever can go in if they're straight, no matter what they've done, no matter how many needles they've shared, and you have gay men, pillars of the community, like
Yes, I am a pillar.
that could go in. But we have all these rules and stipulations. Do straight people have these rules and stipulations?
Oh no, honey, a straight person could just roll up into the.
So it could be a swingers club, and they're
Oh.
like, "Come on in. This is prejudice, and this is hurtful, and this just is
well,
not
I think
right."
it's a good
I
sign.
lie. I want to do it, but be responsible. Get tested. I mean, people are living long lives with HIV, so get tested, and then
I mean,
if you don't have it, then donate.
and if you're not
Easy.
dating anybody or really doing anything, isn't that monogamy?
With
I
yourself.
am in a monogamous relationship
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah,
So I'm
but
gonna
I
donate
mean,
blood.
you shouldn't have to like stop your life to
Yeah.
give blood. You had a good point. They test it. They're going to filter it through something probably, or
Yeah.
I mean, they have. It's the FDA. They have federal drug
Yeah.
stuff.
That
so
was
they have
the-
to follow.
The day I realized that I couldn't give blood, I actually had gone to give blood. This was in college, and I sat down, and the lady said to me, I don't remember the exact words, but it was like, essentially, are you a fag? Are you a gay man who? And I was like, are we doing this here? Can we go in another room?
I'm
And
going to tell my family.
I was
are
like,
you?
I'm not really out yet. I said, yes, ma'am. I have had relations with another male. She was like, honey, you can't give blood. And I had to go. I was like, do I still get a cracker? I'm starving. I took
Get a
some
little
crackers
sticker.
and went out in the lobby and waited on the rest of the straight people. And they were like, wasn't that awful? And I was like, oh my God, I passed out. Just totally lied. I was like, put a Band-Aid on my elbow, make it look like I gave blood.
So you were like almost outed. You were outed then.
Well, I mean, she wasn't like announcing it. She didn't have a microphone or a
Got a gay one over here.
Right.
Come
All
get
right,
him.
table 4. We've got a raging gay man. So yeah, so guys,
Where are we at in our world that, I mean, I get tested regularly. I think everybody should get tested regularly.
They're gonna test the blood.
Why discriminate on gay and straight? They're
Yes.
finally coming around. But again, like trans, we're in a season here, right?
Yeah.
We're making progress. Not just trans, but anything and anybody. Making progress. And that's where it is. And that's where we all can calmly march and make a difference and write to your senators or whatever. But, we just got to make a difference.
I love to calmly march.
Walk around the lake with a cup of coffee.
Oh, that sounds like date number 2 for you.
Yeah.
That's called a callback in the comedy scene. So guys, that's your latest news. We've got trans women unable to participate in track and field in the Olympics. Gay guys can now give blood if they tell people they're in a monogamous relationship. West Virginia Mountaineers basketball coach Bob Huggins thinks Xavier people are fags.
Homophobic.
Yep.
Shocker.
And Chicago gay bars face harassment. So that's the latest in LGBTQ.
How many listeners drink Bud Light? No, I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of curious.
It always seems like one of those things where the only time I've drank it is I've gone to a party. It was a lesbian party. And I went to the fridge and I was like, where's your vodka? And she was like, there's 7 different kinds of beer, Philip. And I'm like, they're all blue. Like, what? She goes, you'll like the top one. And it was a Bud Light. And I was like, I think it took me 4 hours to finish. I just kind of sipped on it, backwash, sip wash,
Now, where I'm from, I'll tell you, that is a big, big drink. So it is very geographically centered. I mean, you're probably not selling a lot in Chicago, but you're going to sell a lot in St. Louis or Omaha,
right,
or something like
just
that.
Just support your local breweries.
Southern Grist.
Yes, Diskin Cider.
Diskin Tailgate Brewery.
Oh, that's a fun spot.
That's a big up in Madison, just north of Nashville. And I think anywhere you are, support the local ones. Asheville, North Carolina has a lot of great breweries. Mm-hmm. That is a really weird. It's like saying rural. What if we had a rural brewery?
Rural.
But yeah, I think supporting local, and I struggle with, do I mind my own business on this, or do we take to social media to help get our point across to support Dylan? And then is it bad? Is it okay that we do it, but then the Kid Rock fans can't? Like, I struggle with that, with social media and where we are in the world.
I think, Dylan can do whatever Dylan wants to do. I've said it before. Some of the things that I've seen on her post are cringy for me. It's just whatever. But if she gets on a beer can, live for it. I'm fine with that. If Kid Rock wants to shoot the beer can and not a person, I'm fine with that. You get to do whatever you want to do as long as you're not hurting other people.
And he was on his property. It looked like it was a field, so I'm assuming that's where he lives.
Do what you got to do.
Yeah,
shoot all the cans.
Absolutely, and let's all simmer down a little bit.
Yeah, everybody could. Let's just all lean in and love on each other.
We do.
Scooch closer.
Yeah. Unless you've had intercourse within 3 months.
Oh, don't give me your blood.
Well, that's kind of where the Candace Owens and all that. We're more like the Barbara Walters and the Ted Koppels. We just want people to get along, and we just want to know the facts. We don't want to ruffle things up.
I like to ruffle a little bit, but
within reason. But both sides have a right. It's like the Chick-fil-A stuff. Yep. Remember all that years ago?
Oh gosh, yes.
I've learned a lot. I used to pop off on social media and then go down a rabbit hole with Jerry, who I don't know, and then he's friends of friends, and then he looks back, he's like, "You voted for Clinton," and then I'm just like, just don't waste your time. Live your life. Get your phone out of your face, and let's look at the beautiful world around us. And it's kind of when you go to concerts, people are there having a good time. You meet people, you meet strangers, and we get away from that. And I think when we are so involved with our phones and we are just so, it's just controlling us that our mind keeps going. Then we get so offended, we get so mad, we get so upset. And we're not doing anything to change the world other than posting your opinion. Like my uncle does that, and I don't want to hear his opinion, bless his heart. But I'm like, okay, if he's doing it, what does that say about me? So I stopped doing that years ago because I just don't. I mean, I'm not going to change anybody's minds or anything like that, unfortunately.
Oh, I've taken many a rabbit hole on social media, and then it's 4 weeks of me secretly like looking to see what comments were made. And then I'm like, oh God, I hate her.
But studies show that we are so much more depressed and so sad,
100%.
and just by looking at all this. I mean, I think it's so easy to throw hate. I'm not going to walk up to you on the street, Philip, and then talk about go down this rabbit hole for 7 hours. It's not going to happen. But we have that opportunity online. We have that opportunity on our phone and our tablets. So it's so easy to do, and then we forget about the world outside, but yet we're focused on all the negativity, and that's where our world is headed. Until Two Bottles Deep showed up.
Till we change the world. All right, well, guys, the rest of the week, be good to everybody. Be kind. Compliment people. Take compliments. Don't scream fag from your car. Be in monogamous
Don't throw
relationships.
a fag from your car.
Don't throw a fag
That's a
from your car.
cigarette.
Yeah.
Do not
And
litter.
flip a bitch.
Watch out for other cars.
Right. Watch out for other cars. But anyway, that's the LGBTQ news. And,
Be kind, rewind. Remember the old, there's my matchmaker again. Is
that's
that
not
you?
No, that's our producer, Trent. He's called twice during this recording.
Is that
Trent,
him?
you're going to hear this, and I'm going to tell you, do not call back. Lord.
T-Money. We were having audio issues earlier. Got to figure it out, Trent.
Thank you, Trent.
You're the best. But hey, like we always say, good reviews. Leave them for us. Leave them for the last restaurant you went to, the last movie theater, the last pawn shop. Why did I say pawn shop? I meant
I've never
tire.
reviewed a pawn shop.
Yeah, this pawn shop.
That was the best pawn shop I've ever been to.
One on Nolensville Pike is legit, by the way.
And tell your friends about our show, by the way. Tell everybody about Two Bottles Deep. We are still pushing to get as many listeners as possible.
Let's do it.
Trying to change a little bit of the world if we can. We've got some great shows coming up, some really interesting topics, some great guests. Wes and I are working on some very controversial things. So we appreciate you listening. Get ready. We appreciate you listening. And hey, remember, send us a Gmail or Send us a Gmail.
Yeah.
Send us an email or a DM. We can't wait to hear more about Wes's dates.
I can't wait to hear more about your stand-up.
If you need a comedian, I will not do it for free anymore. So
you
gotta pay.
to a city near you.
Yes. Or, within 500 miles.
If you need an opening act, I've got the Amazing Grace.
Ladies and gentlemen. All right,
I went down to the Grundy County auction.
I went down to the Grundy County auction.
See, with the pipes like that, you would be remiss not to pay to see this guy.
Yes, I will. I'll promise I'll sing in the next set that I do.
There you go. Love you, Phil.
All right, babe. Love you too. Have a good week. Go donate blood and don't scream fag.
See y'all next time.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Later.
Love y'all. Thanks for listening to another great episode of Two Bottles Deep.
Don't forget to give us a 5-star rating wherever you get your podcast.
And while you're at it, write us a fabulous review.
Please reach out to us on our email, twobottlesdeep@gmail.com.
There is plenty of love in this world. Be a part of it. Oh, that was country. Love y'all.
Love you.